Hello, hello.
Hello. Hi, Evie. How you doing?
Hi, Yvonne. I'm fine. How are things?
All good. I'm sitting here smiling because I'm thinking, here we are. We don't have a pre-meeting thing for these lives, and we both turn up wearing black. How is that? What's going on?
It's not anything to do with, darkness. I'm in a very
No,
good place, but it just happened.
just one of those things.
Is
One of those things.
Black T-shirt day.
Yes, yes. Excellent, excellent. So, welcome everyone to this. And I'm going to state it because I think it's important. This is a pre-recorded Permission to Thrive. That's just the way it's rolling this week. But we're here, as always, and we're here to mythbust all of those narratives and stories that keep us caged, keep us small, stop us from really expanding into the brilliance that we were put here to be. And I particularly love this week's focus. I was saying to Evie just before we started recording, I love this because I want to hear from anyone who has never used one of these phrases or a phrase that is similar to. So with that said, Evie, I'm going to hand over you to introduce this week's focus and that first phrase.
Well, the first phrase is I'm just too busy, and some of us wear that as a badge, don't we? It seems in this day and age that being busy is the way to be, right? Because if you're not, then what are you doing? You're not creating, you're not contributing, you're not, God knows what. It is a myth, I'm afraid, and it's a very good excuse as well for a lot of us. So I think that it is important to, whenever we say that, to like find out a little bit, dig a little bit deeper and find out why we are so busy. Because at least for me, the excuse goes a little bit further, and I'm like, oh, I really can't do that right now. I'm too busy. How many things can I do? That's one more thing, and it happens that one more thing is the one thing that I really don't want to deal with, because it is either too hard or I really don't want it to prioritize it. It might be very important, but come on, I'm too busy. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. And again, like you, I've used this phrase more times than I can even remember. If I could count how many times and get paid £1 for every time I used it, I would be very rich. Let's just put it that way. But it's so easy because it just falls out. It just falls off the lips, right? I'm just too busy, or I'm too busy. It's just a quick way of dismissing something, not someone, because I don't think we say it to dismiss the person, but to dismiss the thing that needs to be done. And we seem to think, or there seems to be some thinking around this, if I'm that busy, it's because I've got so much going on, so many great things going on. It's like proof of how valuable and how worthy I am. And actually, like you said, Evie, we do have to stop and what am I actually saying here? And I say this, for example, a friend of mine contacted me over a week ago and said, oh, when can we get together for a walk? We like to go Nordic walking together and we chat and have a really good catch up. The easiest thing would have been for me to say, oh, I'm really busy right now. It's going to wait until November. When actually I thought it's not that I'm too busy right now, but I am doing some healing with one of my legs. I spoke to you about this earlier. I've been posting about it also on LinkedIn. And I went back to her and just said, I'm having some treatment at the moment. And whilst I am walking, I'm still doing things. I have clients who I walk, talk and coach with. I have clients that I Nordic walk with. I have clients in our gym, so I'm still actively moving, but I'm not adding anything else to it. So I literally went back to her and said that. I said, I'm being really kind to myself whilst I'm healing and not adding any additional. If you want to just meet for a coffee, great. If you want to meet for a walk, it's going to have to be later in November. Now, that may sound really long-winded, but that's the truth. And for me, that is better than just saying, I'm really busy right now. Can I meet you at some other point?
And also you are prioritizing your health and the possibility of being more active eventually when you are fully healed, and also considering that you are a wellness coach and self help and self-help is important. It's really good that you're doing that, because that shows everyone that knows you that you're not just saying these things, you're actually doing them very, very actively, and you're giving yourself that space, that permission to heal, to prioritize what you need to. So that's fabulous. It's just that we always, when we are like that first thought, when it comes to things that we don't want to do, is we are just adding, like almost as if we are saying that, well, we are involved with something now that is way more important, even if that's not the case, or we are very much into busy work. I know I'm a very, like I want to say I do suffer from that quite a lot. Like, if I really don't want to get involved with something, I will just find a way to get really busy. Maybe, I don't know, clean the whole house or something that really doesn't need to be done right now. A clean house is always good, but you need to be true with your priorities, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Distractions. I mean, and it's a typical behavior that, as somebody who's one of my saboteurs has been when it was at its strongest, the restless, and just getting busy. I've got 20 different things. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but what actually am I doing? What's actually getting done? What's being completed? And if I had to sit down at any of those given moments in time when my restless was like running riot, it was just like, well, I'm not getting anything done because I'm starting everything and finishing nothing. So being aware that sometimes when we talk about busy, it's just that we're just taking on loads of things, but we're not completing them. And even as I think about that in the work environment, if you find that you're in that place, well, I am busy, I'm just busy doing loads of stuff, but all I'm doing is really just juggling, nothing is getting to the finishing line, then that is the absolute time to stop juggling and to step back and just to say, the busyness is not helping me and it's not getting me to where I want to go. What do I need to do? How do I revise this? And like you said, Evie, what is the prioritization here? And where might I need to delegate or just let things go? Instead of
absolutely
holding
and
everything.
We do, for me, one of the biggest excuses was like, oh, I'm too busy to actually do the work that I need to do to get where I want to go. So, oh, poor me. I am, and I say that in all honesty, and I know it's not a very good thing to admit, but this is the way that this spirals, because all these things in our minds are really important to be done. It doesn't matter how time consuming they are, and they don't really add value to our day, but they are somehow important in our everyday life, whether it includes ourselves or other people or whatever. The thing is that they are very good in stopping us from moving forward, from growing, and also feeling good for ourselves. So it really is a very, very, big trap to get in that kind of thinking. So it is easier, or easier. It might not be easier, but it's definitely better to write things down and do, you know, like a proper breakdown, because sometimes you are having all these things also in your head.
Yes.
And you don't know how to prioritize. You just feel you have loads of things to do. And most of the times, that's not the case.
And here's the thing, even if it is the case, it always, for me now, I always go back to at the end of my life, how important will this have been? It's like when I ask myself this question, I can get rid of a load of stuff really quickly, really easily. It's like, yeah, well, that's not going to matter. That's not going to have had an impact. That's not going to make any difference. So why are you giving it so much time and attention? So going to, you know, that really, that for me is like the most heart-centered question that we can ask ourselves. At the end of my life, or, you know, at the end of the year, it doesn't have to be the end of the life, at the end of this year, if I have or haven't done this thing, what's the impact? What difference will it have made? And really start being honest with ourselves about
Yeah.
that. And then being able to say, I can let that go. Or I don't have to be the person that does that. And that's okay. Because we have to be really mindful. This is where we have to be really aware of who is, and by who I mean the narratives, running the show. Because your Restless will have you just going left, right, center, up, down, all around and driving you insane. You will have the pleaser who is just bending over backwards to meet everybody's needs, therefore so busy with all this stuff because it's everywhere. You'll have the hyper achiever who just wants to keep on, because I have to, prove myself, because I have to. So understanding who's running your show becomes really important so that you can start to grip those reins and start doing the work to change that around.
Oh yeah, I love that metaphor of gripping the reins. At the end of the day, it is up to us. We have the power to take control and take action instead of just reacting to the day, to just create this intention. And to me, that is what helps. And I love the, you know, like that curiosity, or that, like, asking our wiser self, what will that matter in the future? What meaning will it have? Because it brings things into perspective. And another tool that I use is that, you know, I'm trying to see how many hours I have. I want to say wasted. Sometimes it's not wasted, but like I want to see how many hours I could have used in a different way, that it would have more impact in my life and in what I want to achieve. And when I reflect like this, it gives me a little bit better understanding on how to use the next day or the next few hours. And I always, especially after our work, I do it with compassion rather than
Yeah.
judgment, because all of us at some point, we need to just, I don't know, do things that might seem menial, that might seem unworthy of our time and energy, but we need to just do that. And
Yeah.
it's okay. At the end of the day, nothing that has happened can be regained, but whatever we do from here on can be done the way we want. So I always look back,
Yeah.
like this, with reflection and compassion, to get me a little bit more focused in the things that I want to prioritize, instead of
Yeah.
being pulled here and there, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love the reflecting, because we can only be aware of what's going on if we stop and pause and reflect anyway. We need the stopping and the pausing and the reflection. Say, what has been going on? And actually, if you are like crazy busy, that is the absolute time to take your foot off the brakes and say, why? What is going on? What is happening that I am literally running out of hours in the day? And I don't want to subscribe to that. Well, we all have the same hours in the day and therefore blah, blah, blah. Because actually what we do know is some people have teams of people behind them and they're working from a
True.
very different starting point. So we have to, so there's no, and we don't want to get into the comparison thing, but it's with the time that you have, with the time that you're gifted, the key is not to wither it away on just being busy. If it's not bringing you joy, if it's not bringing you closer to the things that you want to do and achieve and have in your life, you have to start really cracking down and saying, okay, why do I keep on going into these things, these patterns? And we know that it's generally because of the narratives, the stories, the saboteurs that are running the show. And what am I prepared to do about that? Because actually, if we do the work on that, then we don't have to keep on worrying about the busyness thing coming up, because we learn to manage it. We learn to do better. And that for me is the most powerful thing about mental fitness, is that if you get this, if you do this with consistency, if you do the work, if you do the work consistently, the change in your thinking, in your behaviors, second to none.
It makes so much sense once you really get into the habit of, first of all, reflecting, and second of all, like creating intention for your day. Because a lot of us are, I would think, like most of us work on autopilot, and it's like one of those things that you don't realize it until you really stop.
Yes.
And reflect.
Yes.
Like, and the other thing is that once you are in that craziness and busyness and stuff, you don't think that you can do something about it. You're just pulled from here to there to everywhere, and you just don't consider that you have choices. But you do always have a choice, and pausing is the first choice.
Yes. I'm a fan of the power pause. Like at every given moment, take that pause and use it to have a reset and to reflect and to really get clear on what truly matters for the day, for the week, for the month, for the year, for your life. All of those points can be considered. So let's go on to limiting phrase number 2, again along the same lines, but I don't have time for myself. Now, I hear this a lot. I hear this a lot from the clients that I work with, because it's also like, self-care sounds wonderful and dreamy and gorgeous, but I just haven't got time for myself. I've got my kids, I've got my career, I've got my da-da-da-da, and all the things. And I'm not saying that any of those things aren't important, and I'm not saying that any of those things don't need attention. However, the minute you start deprioritizing yourself in the name of serving others, something's not quite right. One, what or who taught you that you weren't valuable enough to prioritize yourself? And 2, when you have deprioritized yourself enough that you have zero energy left, who's going to do what for who then? Who's going to do it?
That's the big myth, isn't it? It's like, oh, I have to be like everything to everyone forever and ever and ever. But I mean, how does this happen if you're not replenished yourself, if you're not resourced yourself, if you're not like giving yourself the permission to have your own self-care and joy and anything else that really makes you who you are and makes you strong enough, happy enough, useful enough to give when you want to give or what you need to give.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not sustainable. The reality is, even if you begin with this complete outpouring in every single direction of yourself, and like, I come later, I'll get to me, that by the time you get to you, and I've seen this, and I've seen this, and I put my hand on my heart because it hurts. It hurts because usually by the time the realization kicks in. It's like you were saying, that constant autopilot, burnouts happened, or they're ill. They've been wiped out. Like the body has just said no and has taken them out of the game. And then it's that journey of having to recover. Now nothing's getting done because you are not in any position to do anything, and people are suddenly having to take care of themselves and get stuff done. People are having to step up and do stuff. The point is why can't we invite them in to do those things along the way, so that you don't have to burn out in the first place, so that you don't have to get ill, so you don't have to hit the brick wall. It's because that in and of itself can become a pattern of behavior. I was speaking with somebody quite recently, and she's like on her third burnout. I'm like, how many times do you need to burn out before you realize this is not working? Whatever it is that you're doing is not working. So, boundaries and all of those things that need to come into play so that you can still get things done, but do them in a way that's sustainable. Because, I don't see, where's the joy if it's just this all outpouring, nothing coming in, and your energy is just constantly being depleting? Where's the joy? Where's the love of life? I don't, it's not there.
It's not there. That's the thing. It's not there. And the truth is that when you really replenish your own energy and you take time for yourself, what you can do really expands, doesn't it? It is like becomes tenfold care for anyone else, and it is also sustainable, and that is quite amazing. I mean, I have clients that they are like surprised. Can you imagine that? Surprised. I mean, they come in, I don't know what's going on with me. I'm like so joyous and so happy, and so I can do so many things. And all I did is I listened to my body, and I slept when it told me to sleep. I mean, and you're thinking to yourself, we have this mechanism in us. It's just about listening to what we need.
Absolutely.
And taking action towards that. And it's not really that difficult, but we don't do it. We just don't do it.
Yeah. Well, the difficulty comes from the conditioning.
Yeah.
Because we were never taught to stop, pause, listen to your body, see what your needs are before you go. Who teaches that? Or who taught us that when we were teenagers, children, nobody, even my parents, who I've got nothing but wonderful things to say about them, but they were not messages that I got from them, not from school, not from education, not from my peers. They were not messages that I heard. And I hear them more and more now, probably also because I'm in this space and this is a lot of the work, and therefore a lot of my colleagues and peers now, this is what we talk about. But when you've been conditioned, you get up, you do this, you go here, you get this done. When you've done that, you go and do this, and then you get, and this is how you show up. Shows people that you're a good person. So we embody all of that, because that's what we're told, and that's what we're shown, and that's what we do. And the reality is not that people intentionally taught us awful things, but we have taken those things on board. We now have an opportunity to do things differently, and we really do. And I think for me, it's not just about the importance of doing it right now for ourselves. It's what we're showing and modeling for those who are coming behind us. Always for the younger people behind us, that don't do that, don't fall into those patterns. That's it's not sustainable, and it won't serve you.
Yeah, I think that this is the most important message, Yvonne, to try and be the models we would have liked to have. Most of us, we always say, okay, you need to make your own mistakes to learn from them. But there are things you don't really need to experience. You can see how it shows up for others, and you can avoid it. And it is better like this, because like we as generations, I think we are developing faster now because of the technology, because of the way the world is going, I suppose, the exposure that we have in so many things. And it definitely will help the young generations not to have to go through what we went through to realize. The awareness is nice to come a little bit earlier for them. And let's hope that they get the message.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think for this, it always comes down to when you prioritize yourself, you know, you're literally saying, one, you're acknowledging your value, your worth, and you're also saying that by ensuring that I'm good, I'm great, I'm fantastically well, whatever terminology you want to use, I have what is needed for me to go and do all the great things I want to do. That doesn't happen by chance, right? That has to come from somewhere. So doing it on depleted, you may still go and do wonderful things, but will you be there to enjoy it? Is a different story.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So enough with busyness.
Oh yes, absolutely. And you know, like there is also I heard that years ago, and I was thinking that doesn't sound like something I would like to do. But nowadays, I find that this is an amazing exercise, like actually blocking time for yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, some time ago, it just didn't make any sense to me. And it makes so much sense right now, because we always have the excuse, don't we? No, next time, not today, not blah, blah. But like if you block time in your calendar for self-care, or even for the pause that we say for like 5 minutes, that, or like, you know, to have your phone or your telephone ring every like 55 minutes, so you know you get that 5-minute pause on the hour. It makes such a big difference.
Massive.
Yeah.
Massive. And it's such a wonderful habit to create.
Mm-hmm.
The only pushback on that is if you haven't got your saboteurs under control, they will demolish it, because every space that you've put aside for yourself, they will fill with something else. No, that's more important than that. It's not about you. You need to do this. So even understanding it is a wonderful habit to have. And it's one that I would absolutely encourage. Just understand that if you have not necessarily done the mental fitness work, that you may still override that, even that, because it's a bit like, oh yeah, well, it's only me, so if I get rid of it, it's fine. And I just always think, for me, it's like when you look at those appointments, those slots that you put in, if it was your doctor appointment or your dentist appointment or a hospital, you know, if it was something to do with your health that you had booked, you wouldn't be so carefree about cancelling it at the last minute. And neither should you be for those times that you block out for your self-care, because they are, here's the thing, if you have enough self-care built in, you are less likely to need all of the other much more, I want to say, sometimes harder to access medical help. I'm not saying that's always the case, but everything that we do in looking after ourselves really alleviates a system that isn't always ready to support us in the way that we need. Sometimes it is, but I'm just saying, you know,
no, absolutely.
We can take some of that burden off simply by choosing to look after ourselves, prioritize ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. That's such good advice.
Yeah,
definitely.
So I think we are there. And you know, as we say every week, Permission to Thrive is all about helping us to break free from the narratives and the stories that keep us caged, and we do so
with grace, not grind.
There we go. Every time. Fantastic. Thank you, always.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you. It's always a
And
pleasure to be here.
for anyone who's tuned in, thank you too for taking the time. And please do leave any comments below the videos. We will respond always. And I will post my YouTube link as well, because all of the videos that we've been doing are there. So for easy access, if you want to go back and listen to some of the other ones. Awesome.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.